Hello and welcome to another Madaxeman podcast on video. This is a new format for me. This is trying to look at the tactics more than just the gameplay and the comedy bits and moments of the recent Dogs of War competition, which was a 15mm competition held in Bristol BIG, the gaming centre down there, which is excellent place if you're in the West Country. Please do support it. People running it seem really nice. They've got a nice little shop. I did actually patronise them with some money. But enough of this. Let's look at the competition and try and see how this new YouTubey type format seems to work at Cry Havoc. And let's look at the Dogs of War, which was a Dark Age themed competition. And really, that means it's all about the army list. And the army list for the Dark Ages is or has to be the Byzantines. Or it certainly was for me, because I've recently refurbished a few units of cavalry to give myself a Byzantine or a Nikephorian Byzantine army that I've never really had before, and also that's prompted me to rebase some Scutatoi, which they were popular at the beginning of ADLG in the UK, then they went out of fashion, and I think now people are starting to work out how to use them. And if other people are doing it, surely I can manage to work it out as well. That was my theory. So here was the list that I used. Two fairly identical commands at the beginning. The top one has got a couple more pokey cavalry in it to put pressure out on a flank. The one in the middle is a bit more a sit in the middle and tough it out command with some of the axemen, the two-handed cutting weapons, and also the cataphract. Really, those two units are to make it difficult for spearmen in particular, but also other types of heavy infantry to come in and chew up the Scutatoi, which hopefully in turn frees up the Scutatoi to go and support the cavalry, and that's where the third command comes in. This is pretty much it is literally a cavalry only fast moving command. So that goes last. It can sort of surprise the enemy by being deployed either side to stack you up with either 4 or possibly even 5 of the really good heavy cavalry on either flank, making it difficult for the enemy to guess where the big strike is going to come. So that was the list, and the first game that we fought was against an Indian army. Usual kind of mix of stuff over there in an Indian army. Unusually, they only deployed 2 commands, which on this table made it difficult to see where there might be a flank march. But with a flank march, the key thing was really for me to dismount this small cavalry command on this wing, because with elephants there, and also because I'd actually brought the dismounts, I thought this would be the good opportunity. And my game plan, the cavalry on this wing, 2 blocks of Scutatoi in the middle against a whole load of elephants, was very much this one. It was to try and, with quite a small army, to concentrate on one side of the table, try and crush the elephants and the infantry over there, and particularly to push these dismounted cavalry in a column as fast as they could to try and get them into this sort of spot and wheel on the flank of the elephants. This bit, I'm completely refusing this part of the battlefield and hoping that the Indians are just too unmaneuverable to do it. And the spearmen just race forwards really, really quickly to try and turn the elephant's flank. So what happens? How do the Indians react to this? Well, the Indians just charge forwards really, and they also bring out of ambush a command of 4 Rajput cavalry. So this was actually quite a late Indian army. I didn't really look at the list properly, so I didn't really see this coming. They're there to kind of descend on this end of my line that I was hoping would be uncontested. I guess I was sort of thinking a flank march might come here, which my answer to it was just attack them in the flank quickly. All 3 of the Indian commands had quite poor generals and general command and control, so this one lurched forward quite a lot. This one didn't really get the pips to move very well. This one came up quite quickly, but all of a sudden these troops are in fighting and shooting range, and even now you can see shooting is starting to take place. The Rajputs in ambush were a tad unpleasant, and some of the Indians are starting to get disjointed as they move forward. So what happens now in my next move? This lot carries on going forwards. This lot sort of wheels around. Here we've got some cavalry. This has suddenly become, these Rajputs have suddenly become a real threat. So the cataphracts kind of useless in here. Nice if you can get them into bowmen, but 8 wide infantry against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wide there, plus these. They should be enough. So the cataphracts come round, the cavalry, the spare single cavalry comes round, a light horse comes here just to sort of protect the baggage. And the outflanking forces just concentrated on going straight ahead. This command has still continued to outpace the other one, so it's fairly obvious I'm going to need to fight it. I can't just ignore it. So these chaps start to wheel around. They're aiming to end up here. This is probably my line of scrimmage forming up here. And with the Rajputs on table, you can see 2 identical commands for the Guptas. A mix of bow and elephants, all elite, 6 elite elephants in there with generals, the elite heavy cavalry, but the tricky bit is the bow, which makes it very difficult for this army to actually engage in combat. It needs to wait for you to impale itself, but my army has quite a bit of shooting, so not quite so much pressure to do that. So so what do the Indians carry on doing? Again, they're unwieldy pips. This command that have been lagging behind, that moves up. The Guptas carry on charging forwards with weak pips, and this command is starting to deploy out, moving out to the flank, getting a bit wider, making it slightly more difficult for the outflanking troops here, and the rest of us just redress their lines, and these guys are sort of starting to peter out. And now there's Scutator here, there's plenty of bowmen going, there's Scutator here. Everybody is starting to pick up some hit markers, which is damaging. My infantry are a bit more resilient than the Indians. The Indians can possibly deal with it a bit less, but now there's very little in front of the elephants, so there's starting to be a chance to shoot at the elephants. So what do I do next? Well, this command swings in. This rushes forwards to try and engage this slightly kind of messy Indian formation where they've started to mix around. But really, this is here to keep this whole section of 2 commands of the army away, whilst this command, the outflanking command, and also this other command, pick on this piece here and then possibly drive through to the baggage. Suddenly this command has got a lot of enemies attacking it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different groups. They're coming around the flank. It's too much for this command to do. Here, with some of my cavalry starting to form a line just off screen here, this command has split its elephants and started to move in. It looks like one of them's actually been shot away. There's only 2 left, so possibly the Scutator have done some damage already, and these bowmen are suddenly out of the game. The fact they were behind, they're now trying to do 3 things that looks pretty tricky. The Rajputs in particular, very little of my army in front of them at the moment, and this elephant up top, that's the weak point. That's the end of the line. After that, there's potentially a roll up in play. So what do the Indians do about this? They attack. They charge forward. The conundrum of how do you attack with elephants and bowmen? The answer to that is the elephants give it a go. That's it. So you've got my elite medium spearmen against 2 elephants here, but that's leaving some big gaps here. The rest of the army is just charging forwards. My cavalry are evading out here. Some of their elephants have gone in to the end of this line, but again, it's not too much here. And shooting hits is carrying on, racking up on the Indians throughout this, with the Scutator just plinking away and starting to damage them. So suddenly, nearly the entire front line of the Indians is already 1 point down, and they're not great in combat either. So what do I do about that? Charge into it. Absolutely. Ignoring overlaps here. These guys are fighting against elephants. They're doing poorly, but send these chaps in. This is already 2 hits down. That could explode, creates problems for the elephants. Here, this outflanking force, it could charge into the back of the elephants, but why bother? Let's just rack up some points and try and sweep this whole formation away. Let's just try and run them over as soon as we can, as the elephants get a bit bogged down and the rest of the army can think about dealing with them. So how does that pan out? This outflanking force carries on steaming forwards. The elephants have come to a sticky end against the infantry here. So suddenly there's very, very little. The weak underbelly of the Indian army has been exposed there. These cavalry are charging forwards. We've lost a few infantry here, but that's not the end of the world, particularly when the payoff is that the Indian centre has completely collapsed, and suddenly you have no Indian units left alive to the east of that line.